That's right. The first challenger match of the year is done and over with. And now we got to look at the stats. ZP back here with Jason Kaplan. And, you know, if there's upsides here, when you're looking at the defeat of Fearless Furies, at least your Wraith did some damage in the end.
Yeah, 25k. I mean, a very good amount considering you did the most in the lobby. To be fair, if you're shooting the Victor, he's just healing up a lot of the damage you're doing. So it's free player damage for you. But I mean, overall, as we did see, it was kind of like an unfortunate game that just continued to get out of hand for the Furies. And I want to look at Colt really quickly. 4-9, him and Bobby together, like 1-8 for Bobby. Just wasn't able to really do anything to become a front line to allow Arzo and Apocycle to really do damage. And then, of course, Empty Dreams getting this far ahead. I mean, I guess in the end, it wasn't insanely far ahead. Still 5k ahead of Arzo, still 7k ahead of Apocycle, but it's really the other four players that I'm looking at as like the advantage really becoming difficult to deal with. You saw Surgery didn't really engage. He stayed away from Empty Dreams. And then the rest of the front line, if you can call that, for the Furies, they just took too much damage from him.
Well, I think it does kind of come down a little bit to frontline where, I mean, Bobby had a rough game, to put it mildly. I mean, it was, the curse of the new skin, as it may have been. But, Bobby was getting isolated a lot of the game. Cult never really got fully online. Like, it's amazing Cult was able to do the amount of damage they did, where it just felt like every time we looked at Yamato on camera, it was Cult getting chased by 3 people. So, meanwhile, you look at the front line from Leviathan. Empty Dreams was basically the person that you had to run from the entire game, along with Overseas, and you still had Freemock and Flammable on Holiday and Paradox, respectively, continually making plays, along with the objective control of Obakim on the Doorman. So, I mean, to me, when I look back at this was one part mechanical execution for sure, but also I just like the draft that Leviathan was able to play a lot better in practice than what Fearless Furies came out with.
Yeah, I think even like the last pick of a Viscus just didn't really amount to much. I'm not sure exactly what I would swap in instead of it. We were talking about, like a Bebop. I guess Bebop technically would not have worked that well in this situation either, because you don't want to be pulling necessarily someone into your team when you're already so far behind. But yeah, I would agree. I think there's a lot more high priority picks going over on the side of Leviathan. I mean, seeing the Mina, seeing the Holiday, seeing Paradox, Doorman. I think those 4 should have been a little bit higher in the pick priority, or at least maybe not the Mina, but the other 3 for sure, considering what we have seen out of teams as of late.
I do actually think the Viscus pick may have been a desperation where they weren't expecting it, because they ended the draft with Paradox Holiday. Like, they picked up both in one go, and maybe there's a world where Fearless Furies was going, oh, we were expecting to get one of those. And they don't really like Bebop, because Bebop is still, hasn't been the most popular in comp as of late. So maybe it's just a thing where they got forced into a corner. But that was a challenging match, Jason. We got to get into what is going to be the championship match here, and the teams playing against. And to get about that, we got to talk about Abraham's, the roster that has been the team to beat here in EU. Of course, Jason, when you're winning everything, you don't really have to change your roster much.
Yeah, we found out for them it required some other way for them to force a roster change. But this team, yeah. I mean, who was on them previously, so he kind of slotted back into the team extremely well. He played with Demov over on Buff Enjoyers. So it's just a really overall strong, good team. I mean, together, a lot of the heroes he's playing right now can be seen as like in meta, the flexibility across the board within this team on top of that. And even potentially seeing some Lash Lasagna Sniper. Again, we did see in the last night shift, number 19, Lash was picked or banned 5 times, though we haven't seen him yet today. Only had 1 game. But there's definitely for the potential of some of like these players' best heroes to be pulled out here and just become impossible to beat. Like, I want to see someone beat Abrams, not because I don't like him, but because I want to see closer matches in EU, because NA is really the region to go to nowadays.
Yeah, even though it's kind of funny in NA, where Melee Creeps has also been on a pretty impressive streak, but Melee Creeps, they always give up maps. Like, Melee Creeps is never sitting here just absolutely demolishing the other side for the most part. Like, it's close. Whereas Abraham's, some of the weeks prior now, it hasn't been that close. I mean, Leviathan has put up a few good fights here and there, but it never really feels like it's crossed the threshold of, oh, wow, Abraham's is about to lose this one. Whereas Melee Creeps gives you that feeling all the time in NA, and take that as you will.
Yeah, but I think they're always super entertaining. They're always back and forth in the series. But I think it's just a testament to how good these players are. Like, I don't want to talk down EU and say EU is a bored region to watch, but this is kind of how far ahead Abrahams are to their competitors. And again, you put Leviathan against any like other team, and it's going to be either a really close match or they're going to win. But the gap between Leviathan being kind of the number 2 team in EU and the number 1 team of Abrahams, it's still insanely wide, which is, it blows my mind to see that big of a gap when you're talking about the number 1, number 2 team.
Yeah, and for right now they're riding high, but also to take a look at before we get into the draft, we have the match history that just kind of shown just how dominant Abrahams has been. At least I think we have the slide. Just goes, yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's been a lot Abrahams versus Leviathan, and unlike in NA, Jason, where Melee Creeps is dropping a map here and there, you ask Abrahams, hey, would you like to drop a map? No.
No. They want to make their quick money and get out right away, Though I will say, like, seeing the full 3 series where things go back and forth, they're always really entertaining to watch. But honestly, if I'm Abrahams, if it comes down to orgs, like, maybe we hit closed beta within the first half of this year, and orgs out there are starting to look for teams, I would rather be a team that just 2-0s and dominates a region completely, because you're probably gonna get the best offer from one of the best orgs out there. So I think long term for Abrahams, it's very smart to continue this domination if they can, and they put the pressure on everyone else in Europe to be like, you guys got to step up and you guys got to push us, because otherwise we're gonna go to other regions. Like we saw, I think Abrahams played in the Deathly tournament, right? They didn't win.
They did, yes.
But they got pretty damn far.
Yeah, they got very far, as it were, And, I mean, no big surprise. I mean, it's one of those things where, okay, yes, you're very far behind in mechanical play when you're playing with ping, but all your macro mechanics and other aspects of mastery are still intact. But I believe we're ready for the draft, and we'll see just how Abrahams is going to change. I think the biggest thing for me is going to be, do we see Doorman at a higher priority? Because Abrahams has been treating Doorman as very high prio. It worked out really well for Leviathan. I think there was some matchup-specific knowledge that they knew that the Hayes pick kind of indicated that Doorman wasn't coming out any earlier, but we'll see. Honestly, if I'm Leviathan or Abrahams, I look to ban it, but we'll see what the bans end up being here. Is the first ban, Viscous, comes in from Leviathan, Jason.
Okay, I mean, it's kind of crazy that Dimov is one of the best, if not the best, Viscous player in EU, and I actually completely forgot that he even plays it. It's been so long since I've seen him actually utilize it. He's normally back on Buff and Joyers. It was Hoot playing it when Hoot joined the roster. But to see a Viscous first ban, I mean, to me, that kind of says we want to leave open a lot of OP heroes so we can guarantee to get some of the. I mean, I say that, but they're coming in as a first pick. I don't know.
Yeah, also the ban of Mina. So, I mean, maybe Mina just has really gone up in priority. Either that or Abrahams just looks at OCs and they go, nah, OCs, we don't want to give you a comfort pick. It's one of the two, right? But Leviathan, they're going to be coming out the first pick, Abraham. So that wasn't a Fearless Furies thing. That is just the nerfs to Billy, I think, have added up a little bit, Jason, to where now you have before it was Billy Abrams. Now it's probably Abrams Billy.
Yeah. I don't think the nerfs really hit Billy that hard, but to be fair, you're probably going to pick one of these two as your initial picks to just have a beefy frontliner who has that consistent damage as well. I'm really looking towards OCs. What is he going to play if he doesn't get Mina? Because back in the day it was Ivy, if you remember, ZP. Yep. A long time ago, before like Abrahams became what they eventually were. And I don't expect to see him be playing a gun Ivy in this game, but the Doorman you were talking about wanted to see a higher priority, and it does come through for Abrahams.
Yeah, and I think this is smart from Abrahams. Everything we've seen indicates that this is the proper way of the draft. Now, what do you give up in turn here for Leviathan? Leviathan ideally. Okay, they're gonna go Paige. Remember, Paige got banned early in the last draft, so Paige is seemingly gone higher up in prio. In this case, you're probably gonna run the Paige Abrams lane, and in contrast, if Abrahams got, they would have ran Paige Billy's lane. So you use it to support either Abrams or Billy, either two you get. Wraith came out as a higher prio in the last draft. That felt like a bit of a mistake to me, but maybe you grab it for OCs here. No, instead you go Pocket, which has to be an Empty Dreams here, Jason.
I would imagine so. And it's so funny. I think of Empty Dreams. I think of Pocket. I think of that like stat line you talked about. We had a best of 5 with Paravision versus who? Was it One Win or was it Abrahams?
For which game?
It was the best of 5 where Pocket won every single time, and Empty Dreams.
Oh yeah.
They ended up winning it because he played it 3 times. Just that series of seeing Pocket so heavily prioritized. So yeah, I would 100% agree with you in that case of where Pocket's going to be going. And then you have to now worry about the Kelvin. Do you want to take Kelvin away because it could likely be picked up for Leviathan?
Wait,
but I need to reattach
Jason,
my arm.
I got a bigger issue right now with this draft. Where's Shiv?
Okay.
Where's Shiv?
Yeah.
No ban, no pick. What?
That's a very good point. Especially, I mean, you pick Yamato. You could have went Shiv there as your 3 pick.
Yeah, you could have gotten Shiv for together. Okay, the fact that Shiv hasn't been picked or banned at this point in the draft has to be studied for future generations, unless something has truly gone wild. Now we've done all the setup here. It could be Dmov on Yamato, and then you end up, picking the Shiv for together right now. But getting Shiv this late into the draft, Jason, it feels like robbery to me.
And I feel like you could have just banned the Shiv here for Leviathan.
God, right? Well,
But by taking away Paradox, if you're gonna, I mean, to me that says they're gonna go Holiday now, right? So they take away the initiators from Abraham's, though we know who can play Bebop for sure if he wants to go that route, or even Task can play it. I'm excited to see the Lash. Normally I'm not, but I've been seeing really good things, and I've been hearing really good things about Lash being probably one of the strongest heroes in the game right now. I think he has like the highest win rate across all ranks, if I'm not mistaken, too.
It's at like near 60%. Like the Lash has been eating good, but okay, you get the Haze for your early game presence here. Do you go Holiday to secure an extra playmaker on top, or do you go the Shiv because you still need a little bit of a front line? Leviathan's front line is looking a little bit bare here, Jason.
and
And they go Bebop! Okay. I actually was not expecting that.
Over a Holiday too.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, to be fair, Bebop, decent counter Lash. You can get rid of his Death Slime really quickly. The hook's on a lower cooldown than Lasso. But I would have expected Bebop to be picked here. I know. I mean, I don't know if you've had Bebop in some of your games. I've definitely had Bebop games where we see 1,500 damage bombs going off. I don't think the game will last long enough for something like that to happen here. And then we see a Sinclair being picked up from Abraham's. Have you been hearing much with Sinclair? Have you played him since the changes to the Vex bolts?
I haven't played him too much because Sinclair, I feel like, is you're either all in on Sinclair or not. Like it is, Sinclair is like a one-trick's dream because there's enough Sinclair-specific tech on it. So I haven't done a ton of Sinclair. I do think Sinclair is probably a little bit underpicked, but also Abraham's finishing off here with the Warden. And I mean, Warden, I think, is still like in a fine spot. I don't think he's the highest priority hero, but do I like him better than something like a Wraith right now? Answer is probably yes. The other thing that's changed a lot here, Jason, is Geist. Okay, a few things here. Geist got last picked after all the changes that have gone down. And on top of that, Shiv is neither picked nor banned at all. That hasn't happened for like 2 months, 3 months?
Is there like a secret third ban for these teams that we don't know about? Or no, is there a world where the Viscous ban wasn't Viscous and it was Shiv?
Yeah, I mean, that'd be kind of funny if we go to production. It's like, guys. Actually, Shiv was banned to begin with.
I'm actually curious if it was Shiv and not Viscous now that you bring it up. Or now that you mentioned like Shiv wasn't picked this entire game. But I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it was Viscous. I'll trust the production on this one. But it is very odd to not see together in Shiv. It's like cookies and milk, or apple pie and ice cream, or root beer and ice cream.
Maybe also ice cream. Yeah, I was gonna say you kind of put yourself in a. I guess it's gonna be root beer and also ice cream again.
Or chocolate fudge and ice cream. I want ice cream. I just want ice cream.
Do they have that in Italy? Does it exist?
It's called gelato, and it's healthy, but not as tasty, for sure. But no, yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the Warden. We've been seeing a lot of Warden. Like in the scrims, I saw Warden, I believe, every game that was watched today over North America, though a little bit of a different build between the two. Now, I know you're a big Warden fan, but I want to ask your opinion on Warden, because he's definitely one of the best heroes for triple dipping in the 4.8k thresholds across the board. How do you normally build your Warden?
I mean, I just kind of leech off of John's builds, which is, very, very gun heavy for the most part. I think is one of the better ways to play him. I mean, you still need a lot of farm overall, but it may be a little bit too gun heavy, but it's kind of funny. You tell John is like, no, just go more orange. Like, continue to go orange. I mean, there's a few other things mixed in, but I don't know. I am a fan of the gun heavier builds. It's very greedy for farm. Like, I think regardless of how you build Warden at the moment, you actually have to make sure that you're getting funneled a significant portion of the farm, or it's not going to end well for you.
Okay, I can confirm. I went to go look at the draft, by the way. It was actually a Viscous ban, and Shiv just was not picked. So, new year, new together, I guess. New Abraham's game plan, not getting together Shiv so he can just carry out matches. So we'll see how things are going to work out as we jump into our first game of our money match. Abraham's up against Leviathan, defending champions, being undefeated for the last, 5 weeks, I believe it was. We'll see if they can do it yet again here today.
And I mean, as I look at here, the big win conditions for me is that if you're Leviathan, right? Like what's an ideal game look like to you? Number one is you're getting good rotations out of the haze at the 2-minute mark and creating some mismatches for quick kills into tower pressure. And then also you're hoping that overseas throughout the game is going to be able to land good hooks and keep Abrahams on the back foot. And hey, you get early damage like this on the Yamato, not bad either.
And we see actually who going to be on the Yamato. We see Fremont on the Abrams this time. I think the rest of the picks are pretty much expected for Leviathan in terms of who's playing what. But I guess Abraham's a little bit of a switch up here. Is that actually Sonya Sniper on Warden and Saint on Lash?
Yeah, and I think that makes sense because the way Abrahams has kind of delegated the responsibilities, Sanya would usually be on things like a Wraith or anything, you know, an Infernus if you go far enough back. So in terms of, hey, we want this character or person to get really well farmed and take over the game, it's usually been Sanya in that role, and that's the best way of playing Warden right now. I don't think you play Warden as anything other than a farm hog who gets ahead of the game. So it makes sense to me to have Sanya on the Warden.
Yeah, that makes sense for sure. I just don't have much of a memory of how well Sync plays Lash, but honestly, I mean, with what I've seen him play on Kelvin, Dynamo in the past, I feel like he plays pretty much every hero extremely well. Even think Vindicta, if I'm not mistaken. But already, I mean, we're seeing initial aggression out of Fremont. Hit a charge on a hoop before, and he's going for another one as well. He's not going to connect onto a stun as he was on the other side of the map in his opponent's territory, but he gets back to safety.
Yeah, Fremont getting a little bit aggressive with it. Of course, off here on the right-hand side, we got Tass. New harassment angles, and off the doorman as Together is able to find Paige. Oftentimes lane mates, in this case, brutal enemies in on the left-hand side as you got Empty Dreams kind of picking up the pieces right now in the 1-on-2.
How do you think Overseas is going to do on this B-bomb? I feel like he's really fallen off in play. Obviously had some tweaks to the bomb and how strong it can be in recent times. Still has an insane... I think he actually gained his stamina. Is that right?
I didn't look at the latest bebop changes or play him since the latest changes, but yeah, they did change his stamina around again, so he's less of a liability than he was before. But I think what it comes down to after all the changes is that, again, as simplistic as it may sound, land hooks. You're just a lot more dependent on landing more of those hooks versus being a hero that can get so farmed that just existing is good enough. Like, you really do have to continue to make plays throughout the course of the game to make bebop worthwhile.
Okay. I mean, it's still Overseas, and we debated who the best bebop player in EU is. We talked about TAS, we talked about D-Mob, we talked about Overseas. I don't know where we landed on who inevitably was the best one in our eyes. But, I mean, we still know Overseas to have massive impact, whether bebop gets nerfed or buffed. But what do you see? It's like fight breaking out here. Together has joined the mix on this left-hand side. Taking a hell of a lot of damage for this one as you still see the page connections landing with those M1s. And Together's still sticking around. I believe he's been able to heal up, so he's must have had melee life still here for this.
Also just got a little bit from the passive, but in the end ends up falling. Quick melee can only do so much. Meanwhile, OC's in some real danger, getting chased down by Sanya, just barely able to turn the corner across from the gun damage. Bell comes out, even more damage here in on the Obakim. So Obakim and OC's just barely hanging on this right-hand side at the moment, Jason.
I mean, we've hit the 4-minute mark, and we're looking at how the rotations would differ from the last game, especially looking towards Obakim swapping over to the Haze for himself in this. And OC's he's so low on HP and still so far away from an ultimate.
You can also just dive. Yeah, okay. That's an insane sleep dagger. That is so important because at the HP Sanya was at, you could just dive. Tass already did that for OC's. And even the sleep dagger, it just spares one here, Jason, because when you see one part of the lane at full HP and the other... Wait, why are you... Obakim just came back in. Obakim's dead.
Yeah, this is... Das ist nicht gut, ZP. Das ist nicht gut. If I go back to my time in Germany, this is not good for Leviathan. It's already a 4K difference. The right lane Guardian's already falling down.
I'm just confused that Obakim's get down Mr. President attempt there. Like, what universe do you not die? Running back in at that HP with both angles covered, both on the side and the front. That was a little bit odd. But
he got back to base eventually. Just maybe it wasn't the way he intended. Or maybe he did intend it that way.
Either way, some really nice harass here in on the Lash. Again, Flammable down to half HP and decides he wants another bite at the apple. Barrier, though, comes on in. May have baited him. And Flammable able to finish off Saint to the trickiness of Page barriers. Claiming another victim there as Saint thought he had the kill, and the barrier just added just enough survivability there, Jace.
How do you feel about Page right now in the game?
Overall, I mean, if we go by data today, certainly I think she's still pretty strong in the fact that she's getting early picked and early banned, but I just think she messes with decision making in such a powerful way that it's always to the advantage of the Page player. Like, it's not just the durability that you get out of her, but she makes you make bad decisions when you're up against her, and that part is super valuable, on top of the fact that her ult is really good for earn fights, really good for mid-boss contests. So she's solid right now. Is okay. Who did not respect the hyper beam?
What about her skill floor versus skill ceiling as a hero?
It's decision making based, but also, I don't know. I think everything in Deadlock, if you consider movement as part of your core skill set, everything is high skill. It's just a very variation in degree, you know?
Okay. I mean, I think that's like a topic we can maybe discuss. I want to go a little bit further into that, but maybe if we have like a pause or something, we can hop back to it, because we still see kills coming through as Together gets called out and finished off in Leviathan. I mean, we talked about an early 3-4K lead for Abraham. This is going to be completely turned around, even though they did take the guard on the right-hand side, which allows them to just burger box in the mid lane now, just trying to stack this lane, look for kills. Obakim, I don't think he's going to escape this one, but the help of the stealth and the movement is allowing him and buying him time, more importantly, but just walks into the open arms of Tass as he punches him back down. And that mid lane Guardian, it shouldn't be surviving much longer either.
A little bit of Looney Tunes action from Tass there. Already knew he was going to before he got there himself. Mid lane working out pretty well for Abrahams, who, as you were mentioning, Leviathan had actually started to build up a lead after being far behind, but the engagement in middle here, not only turning into several kills, but turning in the mid Guardian going down in plenty of time before first earn ends up spawning. So Abraham's getting a little bit more stability on the game, and maybe a rotation here into the left. We'll see where Tass ends up going.
I mean, I'm looking at souls, and it says the game's telling you it's equal, but it's really not. If you look at the map, look at the Guardians that are left. Leviathan have one, and the left and right lane haven't taken too much damage. So as they say it, the right lane is under some pressure now, but even the mid lane is still above half HP. Leviathan haven't been able to make too much ground on the objectives, though they might be able to crack into this right lane Guardian, though they didn't have the minion wave there, so they're not really going to be able to take it down before reinforcements get to this position. So I think the soul discrepancy we're seeing so far, ZP, it's very misleading.
Yeah, because on one hand you have economy between the teams, and then on the other hand you have what does each team have in their favor, and a lot more of the map at the moment is opened up for Abrahams, and we'll see how they handle it. I mean, the one thing they have to respect is the fact that you're still dealing with the haze. Obakim is still going to be very mobile as he goes across the map, but okay. As I say that, OCs runs afoul of D-Mov.
No deep push out of Abraham's here to deny away these sinners, or really much of the jungle so far, though. As I say that again, Tass gets in deep, should have a door to allow an escape here, going for the double sinners. Actually allows his teammate to get in here, and Obakim spots it, not expecting two players. Oversee jumps down into the hole looking for a fight. He immediately backs away as the call bells are coming through, ringing in his ears, down to 500 HP. And this is going to be a great invade of Abraham's using that doorman, as we've been talking about all day today.
I think using Doorman as early Sinners invade on the double Sinners is really, really smart, because the downside of when you go there for an early invade is that you can get caught and not have an easy way out, but your Doorman, you bring your own escape with you. So it's a great way of snowballing your advantage a little bit more as Flammable gets caught here in the middle and exiting the Baroness Hotel. We got a great post-checkout policy for you. Direct teleportation to your next destination, which is your base.
Yeah, that's one way to teleport someone, or to get a teleport.
Is under attack.
So taking a look at things, the left lane Guardian has been destroyed on Leviathan. Again, getting them some souls back on their side and potentially back to some map control. The kind of Abraham so far have won the, I would say they won the early game for sure. I mean, taking out two of the Guardians, now piling on this left-hand side to look for the third and final Guardian. There's no way you can defend this as Leviathan. They just have to give this one up and maybe look for some counter pressure, which might be coming through in the midst of middle as Hoot goes down from the hyper beam once again. Minions on the Guardian, and Overseas is just zoning away together.
You know, using the hyper beam there, it's not the longest cooldown in the world, but you know, now that you're going to be fighting for earn control here, you do kind of wish you had it here. when such a key part of playing against Doorman is getting first earn control. Saint, though, gets caught out. And earn control is going the way of Leviathan. So this is what you have to do. And it's what I wish teams against Doorman did a little bit more frequently. You have to actively prioritize earn pickup versus Doorman team. You can't let Abraham just walk up and grab it. In this case, Leviathan, they're going for speed here, Jason. This is a full-on run it across the map instantly move.
Well, they will lose the Guardian. The other decides to push it, which we up against Empty Dreams. We do see Sonic Sniper go in. He's not going to get the melee onto this, but they might get some kills off the back of it, though, with the last stand coming on through. Overkim low on HP. Empty Dreams on the other side of the map does pick up the 1v1, but it's not going to stop the battle breaking out on this right-hand side, ZP.
Yeah, so you end up giving up the earn. You're not quite able to land the melee. Still, you get a few kills, which, if you're Sanya, you're very appreciative of. I mean, all in all, I guess it's a slight edge to the Leviathan there, but it's not much given that they gave up 2 for 1 on the kill in there. And also, you look at who you're giving it up to, where Sanya, most farmed here in Abraham's, exactly where you want to be. In comparison, though, Empty Dreams, very fed pocket on the other side.
Shall we?
Yeah, and a very underfed Hoot. I mean, he was at 6k souls when he died and respawned back in, able to jump up to 8.6, but he was very far behind his teammates here, getting a big wave of farm, and something they're desperately going to need for him to act at the front line, and more of like a pressure towards, I guess, Obikim if he shows up, or even Empty Dreams, as the Baroness Hotel comes out once again. Trying to keep this Garden alive for Abraham's. The reinforcements are here, and they're really committing both teams a lot of resources to take this Guardian or defend it.
On the right side, the Hyper Beam still getting pretty reasonable damage here, bring Demov down to a quarter. However, you look at the rest of Leviathan, and you get a Obikim deep behind enemy lines here at the moment, and no way out. You look at the kill feed. That's the full team press on the Obikim.
Everyone got a piece of Obikim there, pretty much, yeah. Just the unfortunate part if you're caught behind enemy lines. Limes? Caught behind enemy lines. At least it's not lemons. I don't know where the hell I said that from. Save me here, ZP.
No. Just continue the twist in the wind on the lemon-based analogies. I mean, there's things there, life gives you lemons, but we're just a little bit too classy for that. 65k, though, the 67k. Leviathan, the small lead they did nurse, getting chipped away at the moment. Guardian-wise have evened things up, though, a bit here, Jason. Right now it's 3 Guardians down for Abraham's, 2 down for Leviathan, and they just made that push onto right-hand side. Didn't quite work out. But also, the way the game has changed, I mean, you're going for the Guardians more so for the immediate souls and map control. You're not worried about flex slots, of course, the way you used to be.
I think I expect this game to play out much differently than it has. With the initial 2 Guardians of Abraham's that they got from Leviathan, I kind of expected them to start steamrolling into the jungle, grouping up for some kills, but you have to give credit to Leviathan. Overseas is one big player I'm looking at in particular. The damage he's been able to do with Hyper Beam is, I guess, alleviate a little of the pressure by keeping Hoot in check, at least at that time. I mean, Obikim hasn't really done, I guess, too much so far in this game, but OC's been continuing to farm up at 14k, and of course, Empty Dreams, if he's playing Pocket, he's going to have a good game at the 16,000 souls, leading the lobby at the moment. He's really going to become an annoying nuisance for them in these next few minutes.
I think the problem is the Leviathan, they need to get a game-winning advantage soon. And okay, sneaky hook attempt on Lasagna's follow through going to be there. The setup was there, and Empty Dreams immediately knocks him down into what's turning out to be a very quick Walker push. You're going to have Task rotate in along with Saint for a little bit of pressure, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. All the damage going into the Walker, even with the result. Doorman going to take Bebop off the field, Hyper Beam pressure gone, but the Walker is just completely plowed over. It's too much firepower when you're able to open the fight with the pick on the Warden.
And Sanya dropped a massive bag too. I want to say like 600 to 800, even another one going down. This is so many souls being stolen over for Leviathan side. They've been able to completely get up to a 13,000 soul lead out of nowhere here, ZP. Just blasting on through this one, especially with the Walker being taken. Maybe there's a world 2026 is where we don't see the 2 O's for Abraham's anymore.
Well, they also need it. Like, what I was going to make the point of for the Leviathan composition, I don't think they win late game. Pocket gets a lot worse late game once Divine Barriers start getting bought. Affliction isn't as good. Haze kind of falls off. Bebop falls off. You don't, with the exception of OCs, don't have a huge amount of scaling, but okay, Parry on the Billy together. Getting caught mid-quick melee. And it's Fremont looking to punish 300 HP. Gets a shield in off the Doorman. We'll see if they're able to save together, who got himself in a real tough situation from that parry.
Who just immediately backs away from that flying strike too, realizing I don't want to go that deep on in. Again, an urn being spawned in. You can see the doorman being used to try to pick this one up and potentially run it back in, but it's going to be an advantage urn. Actually, sorry, it's a comeback urn for Hoot as he secures it before he does go down. And O became able to pick it up, so now it's an advantage urn for Leviathan. And realistically, I don't feel like you should be going for this. I don't think you want to push into a tight corridor with Abraham's there.
OC's caught dead the right. Was a gentlemanly one-on-one that turned into a quick come up for the Billies. So you get urn control now for Leviathan. But the point I was getting to, Jason, is that based on the team comps you have here, I don't think Leviathan wins if this goes super late. So they're in their win con right now. They need to extend this lead. If they get urn, it would be great. But bear in mind what we were talking about earlier with, comeback souls and how they operate. Trying to turn in this urn is actually very risky for Leviathan, because if it goes awry, they're going to give up their entirety of their lead and give Abraham's an easy path to victory. So, this game could be settled on the next few fights as we see Yamato going in over the top. Has to shout transform as knockdown is about to come in. Flying strike finds free mock. Big pickoff here for Abraham's. Even bigger if they could get Obakim under the gun. Lands a sleep dagger, 70 HP in a dream. In off the rope, and now having to do some gymnastics to try and survive as you get the covering from the hyper beam on the side.
And Abraham steal away the urn, and they get the cap on this one too. Equalizing things at 95,000 souls. How the hell is Hoot still alive? But a big chunk of damage goes into Empty Dreams before he does get finished off. Great hook yet again on a Sonic Sniper. Immediately back away out of Overseas, realizing we don't want to take this smoke. We don't want to go for this fight. And a massive turnaround here out of Abraham's in this tight quarter. I mean, they've actually taken lead by 2K souls now.
And truthfully, Jason, when we look back, that may have been the game, because Leviathan needed the lead they were working on. And I don't know. I mean, you can make arguments either way, but I don't think it was on Leviathan there to try to force that urn. I think they need to prevent the urn from getting turned in, but committing that hard with the advantage they currently have, which isn't as big as you may think. I don't know. I don't love their decision to try and go for urn there, and now it's completely flipped the game.
With like a doorman there, you know how easy it would be to cart you into their mid lane walker and like separate your team? I feel like you just don't bother to go for that fight. Maybe just take the urn back to your base, or maybe bait it out on the left-hand side to get a push on the right-hand lane to get the walker. I just feel like there's no waiting for you in that situation, because even if you get the turn in, there should be no road you get it for free.
Man, I will say, Hoot's been having a tough time this game. I feel Hoot has been the repeated sacrifice. Tasso able to even up, punish Elbakim for the pick on the cult. And here comes Saint, full HP. Ready to go. As once again, the mid lane getting a little bit zesty once more.
I actually wonder, I haven't seen Hoot stream in a while, and I've seen people in chat talk about how he hasn't been streaming in a while. Has he just taken like a decent break on the game recently?
It's possible. I know melee creeps in NA are probably more vulnerable than they've ever been, because they were doing a lot of Minecraft over the holidays. Initially, we weren't even sure they're going to defend. And also, Ido's PC exploded, which, rip Ido. Apparently, Ido couldn't reinstall a GPU. Take a GPU out and putting in a new GPU was too complex. I don't really know. I just
Someone
saw some
told me
of the
he tried using chopsticks.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Someone told me that, and I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but it does kind of sound like an Ido thing to do.
Dude, when you put all your stat points into playing video games and none into other
into intellect.
Yeah, just no, just video game. Video card too complex. But again, we have the doorman invade attempt here from Taz. Gets pulled away from his door and treats Bebop to a trip to the Baroness in turn. Root comes on out and still holding form here, defending. Got more people coming through the door as these Sinners invades, Jason. Nice take here for the doorman.
I thought that was so funny. Seeing doorman just stare at his door and just not be able to get back through it, but the reinforcements were there again. Just the door allowing you to get these invades and away from these invades that should not really exist. Trying to contest out on those Sinners, which, I mean, the longer the game goes, the more benefit you get from something like that. I think maybe items are something to look at here. I mean, look at Fremok. He's gone basically pure damage. Got Hunter's Aura, Point Blank, K-Dash, Cultist. I mean, he's got 2 green items and 0 in a Spirit Investment.
It's the don't run into Abrams in the jungle build is what we're getting out of Fremok right now, especially with the Hunter's Aura. But buffs are up, Urn is dropping down, and again, if you're Leviathan, you need to contest this Urn pickup, but you look at how Leviathan is positioned on the map. They're giving up Urn control in full to Abrahams. They're not going for the contest, Jason. But I don't know if they're going to get anything of value in turn here. They're just kind of meandering in the middle of the map.
Yeah, it didn't seem like they had a plan there of what to do with this urn going this way of Abraham's. I thought maybe push the right lane walker. So they're kind of grouping up in middle to prevent Hoot from running across the map. Great hook comes in yet again, and Changing to follow up as well together. No kills coming through as a stolen affliction gets landed on. And a great ground slam coming through as well. On top of that, a Saint ends up catching on to 2, immediately popping infallible and overseas, and Obikim falls just a few seconds before that. And honestly, it opens up mid boss now for Abrahams.
Yeah, especially with the 2 heroes you got flammable and overseas immediately there, particularly getting rid of the page. Obikim gone. Nothing is standing in your way here for mid boss, and you get urn control on top of it. Just a really good engage coming in from Leviathan. You get Empty Dreams just in the neutral up top. 3 rejuve charges, and Jason, this one just about done. You saw the quick attempt at a skill code from Freemock. Freemock will quickly be joining the rest of his team back in base.
I honestly lost track of where the hell he was, and then I realized, oh, he's been hexed. He's a bunny. He's just running away. But yeah, this is the shoulder charge with Hopium, and none of it working out. He falls down. This mid lane walker's gonna die as well. At least one upside for Leviathan is there's a lane shoved on the left-hand side, so it's not as easy to countertake another walker out of Abraham's. They have to be so careful. They don't want to lose out on really too many players, or this could turn into shrines.
It's not looking good at this point. Who's had a tough game here so far? May about to be losing 1 rejuve charge, and does. Killer, not quite enough cover, but again, it comes at cost. Overseas ends up falling for it, and if you're Abrahams, you'll take trades like these all day long. And I mean, you look at the economy allocation here too now, Jason. Hoot, despite it being a rough game, at 23k. You have Sanya at 32,000 souls. This is exactly where you want a Warden to be to end the game. And, you know, comeback potential for Leviathan, it's so limited because, again, yes, you have overseas, and yes, you may be able to land a big hook, but a lot of your team fight damage is going to the wayside. 2 divine barriers just got picked up, so you may have Empty Dreams as your one of your most farmed as Leviathan, but it doesn't really matter anymore, Jason.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're going to cleanse off Sanya, who can cleanse himself, and then you still have 1 extra one to float around to whoever you want it to be on. Also, going back to the Warden builds we mentioned before, we do see the tri-dipping out of Sanya Sniper, so maybe this is an EU versus NA thing. A lot of the NA Warden players that I've seen, at least today, have just been pure gun and health. They've really not invested into Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is that you can make the argument that you don't go Fleetfoot and you go Surge of Power, and you're getting more overall value out of the slot from the Surge of Power because you're still getting attack speed and you're getting the benefit of not getting slowed down while shooting. That's probably the biggest point of contention at times. Also, in terms of difference between Warden builds and regions, EU really loves intensifying mag, and NA, historically at least, has been a little bit on running intensifying mag. It's a much more popular item in EU than NA for whatever reason.
Well, I know we could bring Lightbringer in here. He would probably rage over EU versus NA and builds.
Lightbringer hates all regions equally when it comes to the builds.
Oh yeah,
That's not for his own
probably is true. Yeah, exactly.
No.
Exactly. His own builds. He said once the new patch comes out, he's gonna do like a 6-hour long stream where he's just making new builds.
Yep. He's just like, I need to improve the meta in a good way. But little does he know, the return of Line Pro on the new update has been prophesized.
Oh no.
The greatest builds. Playable though. You know, Jason, we're kind of memeing a little bit because the reality is this one just about over. I mean, you have to look to overseas to land the Hook of the Gods and a bad response by Abrahams. It needs to happen like 4 times in a row. Otherwise, there's not a lot of comeback power right now for Leviathan.
Maybe get a kill on Sanya. It's gonna cost you a hell of a lot. There was a massive chain gang comes through, and together they turn this fight around. Colossus popped on top of this, looking to charge straight in towards that front line to save out on Sanya. And as you're saying, it might take a couple of kills quite a few times to come back into this one, but Leviathan, they're gonna fall short in this fight, now falling 30 to 40,000 souls behind once Abrahams is done with this base.
And for Abrahams, it's just about doing a last little bit of housekeeping here. Maybe together it goes down for the final rejuve, but nothing's gonna be stopping them from getting the shrine, securing the mega creeps, and likely getting the patron on their way out. But also it's Abrahams. They enjoy staying, Jason, when they're this far ahead. good chance that they just end the game here now, but where are they looking? Yeah, a few people backing out.
They got a door to get out if they need. Yeah. Actually, I haven't been on the show since they've done this, but oh my God, did I not predict and talk about how we need some sort of like resist protection for the patrons if you're standing near it defending?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my, I was so happy when I saw that change, and thank God it's made finishing games so much more interesting. Just having that one player who can survive on there to get the extra resist to the patrons. You can't just burst it down. You have to kill them off one more time. I don't know about you, but I love that change.
I mean, it's big. It also makes the end game a lot more interesting because eventually you just hit a point where unless you had a dynamo or something that could actually stop people from attacking whatsoever, you know, any two players could instantly kill the patron, so there was no defense. Now, though, doing the full all-in actually requires winning the final team fight. You can't just skip the last team fight anymore.
Yeah, I'm so happy to see it, and you see the respect out of that out of Abraham's backing away, and oh my God, OC just, it doesn't have his swap up, so he really can't do much to escape this one, just trying to heal things up with the essence bombs going out, but eventually gets chased down by Saint, and that's just the beginning of the end. Well, it's not even the beginning of the end, it's like the middle to late game of the end here, ZP, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, I don't know, say beginning of the end here is just kind of like saying, okay, you know, the nukes have gone off, humanity is down to its final, like, 3 people of radiation poisoning. It's like, it's the beginning of the end. It's like, okay, well, the end clearly happened a long time in the past here, Jason.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they get themselves 4 more kills, they lose Hoot. And we see, well, I mean, Together's backing away to heal up, I guess, but the rest of the team going to be going for the finish here. So Abraham's, it actually got a lot closer than I expected here, ZP, but they will go out to finish off the first map of the series and keep that 2-0 streak hope alive.
And for me, when I look at this and, you know, the teams in their win conditions, Leviathan got fooled by the curse of trying to turn in enemy advantage earn. It's really that simple to me. They were in a great spot in the game, and then eventually they decide, you know what? We want to try and go forward and do this earn in your territory. And it ended with disastrously predictable results.
Yeah, I think we said during the moment, there's really no winning in that situation, trying to go for an advantage turn in, considering they have Doorman, considering there's no way you're going to get out with 0 deaths. The best case scenario is you get, you know, a lot of your opponents killed and you get the earn turn in, but like realistically against Abraham's, are you going to be able to pull it off? And I don't think they had a big enough lead to really do that, or at least the heroes that they needed to do that.
No, not at all. But, you know, you go to the highlights here. I'll say this much. Hoot breathing a sigh of relief, because when things were going well for Leviathan, which they were for a decent period of time, you know, past the first turn in the game here, it was a little bit tough for Hoot. Hoot was finding himself focus fired a lot, eventually got reasonable farm, but I don't know. Yamato coming back into the play has not been super convincing for me today here, Jason, between Cult and Hoot just now. But that hook right now, this is where Leviathan got ahead of the game. It just, they threw it away a bit after. Yeah,
I mean, it was a good hook to open things up. They get themselves a walker off of that, pretty much unanswered. It was a really good turnaround. But here, this chain gang coming through, catching on to basically 4 players, saving Sonya's sniper, gave him the entire base to use to their advantage, not to mention they already have like a 40k solely at that point, so not too crazy to see something like that happen.
All in all, though, I think what I take away from this is that the problem with playing against Abrahams right now is that you can play really well and you can beat them in the beginning part of the game. You can beat them at the beginning of the mid part of the game. But once you make one key mistake, they're so good at punishing you and then never giving you an opportunity to get back into the game. Because overall, Leviathan did look really good, Jason, up until they didn't, where they tried to go for that earn play, and then once they fell behind, they just had no meaningful ways back into the game.
Yeah, comp definitely affecting them as well towards the end here. As you mentioned, Edward Dreams is eventually going to fall off, and Abraham's is just going to get stronger and stronger. I mean, Sonya, he had a huge lead in souls compared to his teammates, and he really made that effective. I mean, he wasn't highest damage in the game, but still put up 28,000 with 27,000 out of Together. And he was just really able to be a strong front line for them. That just something you had to respect for Leviathan. Like, realistically, who's going to kill Sonya Sniper on Leviathan's side? And I just don't see anyone.
Yeah. Well, also, maybe controversial, but I really hate the downside of playing Pocket right now, where you can play Pocket and you're really effective and you feel great, especially when you're ahead of the game, up until the point that the game hits a point that people buy Divine Barrier and you just hate being alive. Like, I feel as though Pocket suffers from getting countered by an item worse than almost any other hero in the game. And that includes Lash with people building counterspell. Like, there's still points of failure there. Whereas Divine Barrier, just like, oh, your Pocket, Divine Barrier, poof. It just makes Pocket so much harder to play and be an impact player as you get deeper into the game.
Yeah, and you really depend, I guess, that mid game to really shine before the Divine Barriers are actually picked up. I do wonder, though, would a Shiv have changed the way this game played out for Abrahams? Would they have won quicker? I do wonder why they didn't go for a Shiv, but it didn't really seem to matter. Maybe they're trying to practice some other things here to get together out of that Shiv camp and ensure that he can play some other heroes to a high level and maybe take some other ban-worthy heroes.
I think putting Hoot on either Billy or Shiv probably, instead of being on Yamato, probably would have ended up better. That's my take. If you're looking at how you could have had an even better end to this game. Maybe they didn't want Leviathan to pick Yamato. Hard to say. Also, in terms of cleanup, Sanya did his job beautifully here. Absorbed farm, got to fights, right place, right time. Had some nice combos with Saint and good fights near the urn. Like, even the urn that they lost, Sanya was still able to get a kill off of it, set up to a second kill, and make it not the worst for Abraham. So, I mean, Sanya was just remarkably consistent this entire game.
What is team bonus on the soul breakdown for Saint? Is that when you're behind in the lowest soul value? So he was the poorest person on the team. Okay, so he got 10% of his souls, so 2.8k from being the poorest player on his team. It's kind of crazy.
It's always a bad feeling in the pub. Like, in a pro play, you want some people to be more farmed than others, but I feel like it's a mark of shame when you're playing your pub games in Deadlock and you see yourself getting trickle souls and you're just like, no, I can't be having this bad of a game. Like, I'm on a hero that needs farm. What do you mean I'm getting the trickle souls? This is terrible.
So I got an answer for you, ZP. You get trickle souls, and now bear with me, trophy collector. Pair those together, and you'll eventually lose your little trickle of souls coming through. Man, the trophy collector has just died off completely with the nerfs that happened to it. I was loving that item, but you know what? We don't need to talk about it too much more because eventually it'll get buffed again and it'll come back into play.
And just like eventually, we will be back with the second map. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll see if Leviathan can lick their wounds and force Abrahams to a map 3 for the first time in over a month. Do they have it in them? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back, everyone. It is the night shift. It is EU and Abrahams. They are on their way to yet another victory. And, Jason, the interesting thing to me is that it's not like Leviathan was completely steamrolled. They made it close up until it wasn't.
Yeah. You know what? Leviathan were winning until they didn't, until they weren't. I think, I don't know. I feel like even though the souls were even very early in the game, having the two guardians down for Abrahams and like the map control they had from that, I feel like they were like heavily in the lead in my mind. But there was like that turnaround that came through overseas again, hitting a great hook, gets himself a walker so they can start to get more aggressive around the map. There was like a period of time Leviathan did gain that control, but then like that mistake of trying to go for the urn cost him all of that lead and allowed Abrahams, I don't want to say allowed Abrahams to get back into the game, but it prevented Leviathan from getting stronger in that game and it gave too much catch up back to Abrahams.
Also, as a reminder, before we get into the second draft of the day, right now the prize pool is set at $600 per team, per region, per winner of the region, I should say. But you can donate and add directly to the prize pool that goes to the players, not to us. But in terms of stuff that also goes to us and just generally making the show happen, we are currently dealing with our sub drive right now, where if we hit 1,200 subs, we will release our brand new Abrams Night Shift skin that you've seen in game here today at a 0% win rate. But if you get to play it, 100% win rate, Jason. We save the magic for the viewers.
On another note, you know what? I feel like we have a great opportunity here because I'm looking at your camera and the camera keeps shifting where it's focused on you. I'm wondering, is there a world where we could set up like a use your channel points, like 100,000 channel points, and move ZP's camera left, and then we have all these people using the channel points and betting to change where your camera actually is on you. I feel like there has to be some world where we could code that and make it happen, that'd be so funny to see. But yeah, I mean, going into the next game, looking at the draft or thinking of the draft, I don't think there's anything too crazy to be changed at Leviathan. Maybe take Doorman away to prevent tasks from being so around the map and allowing them to go for like these double sinners invades and stuff like that. But beyond like the Doorman, I mean, you left Shiv open and Shiv didn't even get picked by Abraham. So they didn't even show you their strongest comp they could provide.
Just, you know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of Twitch plays Pokemon, where just like in this case, it's just, I don't know what vote democracy versus chaos mode and all the other things are, but left, right, up, down, totally do that.
I told you there was another idea I had where we make it so if you redeem like a ridiculously high amount of channel points, you ban the casters from saying a certain word that of your choosing for 1 minute of time. And I think, bro, what is that?
Those losers.
What is happening?
That is there's these Japanese beetles that have gotten into Minnesota, and they seek warmth in the summertime. Hang on.
They're a little far away from home, aren't they?
Well, they also have no survival instincts. They literally just like die to anything.
Bro, help a man out here. ZP's under attack.
Yeah, they literally just sneak into the house in the
I'm just waiting to hear like a loud slapping sound, and then you come back and
it was more of a crushing.
Crushing
here. Yeah.
Well, you know what I can do to fill time here is I was working on my soundboard, ZP, and I could hit a couple. But oh, you're back, Tim. No chance. No chance.
Okay, so Leviathan, they first pick Abrams again. The big change here is that from the last time is that they ban the Doorman instead of banning Viscous. That also means for Abrahams, do they pick Viscous to give Demov the Viscous early because clearly it was a high priority ban? Instead, they go, we don't need Viscous, we got Paige.
Yeah, Paige Billy.
Yep.
Name a better duo. Chocolate fudge and ice cream. Ranch and pizza. Strawberries and whipped cream.
No more hiding.
Pepperoni and pineapple on a pizza. I'm gonna end it there. You cannot get better than that. That is the best duo in the world by far.
And this is where people will be demanding the exile of Jason Kaplan from the broadcast. But
no, I know there's some pineapple pepperoni lovers out there. I'm not worried. They got my back.
Like one of my hands.
Okay, so Victor ends up getting picked up by Leviathan here. Again, they go for the pocket, so you have to assume it's going to be empty dreams in the pocket, which, again, puts it on a little bit of a timer. But in terms of endgame, just by virtue of picking the Victor, Leviathan has given themselves a better late game look than they had before. Now, I do wonder if they decide maybe they ban something like the Warden this time around, get Sanya onto something different. But here's the difference that we're going to see here, Jason. Last time around, Abrahams, they picked the Doorman in the spot. Doorman is banned instead of Viscous, and Viscous gets picked in the spot. Now, in terms of heroes, it changes things up because it's probably Demov that's going to be playing on the Viscous, and Tass is going to be looking for something like a Paradox. So if I'm Leviathan here, I consider coming in with a Paradox ban.
The Paradox ban? Okay. I'm also looking at like Shiv's left open against ZP. I know Together plays Billy, but there's still a world we could see Shiv being picked up here and maybe seeing Demog go to Billy to put Viscous on Hoot. There's so much like flexibility.
Put Viscous on Hoot is what you just said.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what I said. Okay. So you see the Yamato come through at Leviathan. So again, Shiv's left open. Warden's left open. There's a lot of like different heroes that Abrahams can use on the turn here after these second rounds of drafts.
Shiv died.
It was smart.
Not sure why, but okay. This is kind of what I thought here. With Viscous being picked up, D-Mob's got to go on it. Tass needs a hero here, and it's not going to be Doorman, so they go Paradox. And I do wonder if there was an opportunity lost here for Leviathan where you could have banned the Paradox. Instead, they're like, okay, we don't want Hoot to play it. But in terms of frontline, I feel like Abrahams, they still can just pick the Shiv unless their hero pools are so down to the idea that they only want Together playing Billy or Shiv, therefore you don't have to pick or ban Shiv because you know Abrahams won't go for it. I don't know.
Well, right now, Abrahams, they need something for Sanya, and that's what I'm kind of like looking towards. I mean, Warden, it is still open, trying to pick it up yet again.
Looking to summon a god, right?
Flash is being stolen away, but I mean, Saint was going to be on Page.
Yeah, I 100% think they go Warden here. Although it is interesting in terms of Saint's heroes that Saint was playing a ton of Vindicta, and Vindicta hasn't been contested at all today. Not picked, not banned. Vindicta just kind of fallen off, where before she was definitely a higher prio in EU, so that's also been a bit of a change. Instead, we got the Sanya hero that's going to be Wraith, and I almost want to go back and like figure out what the difference here is that for Abrahams, you still could have run the Warden, but they decided, no, this is going to be more of a Wraith game for us instead.
And I'm not really sure why not have the Warden
So you
and
need
why
a
go
monster
Wraith.
hunter,
Oh, and the Shiv comes in last second. A 6-pick Shiv. What world, what year are we living in right now, ZP?
Well, it might be the one
Single-
where do they go Geist at the end here? 6-pick Geist. They already have 2 more in the front line, so they don't necessarily have to. And maybe they could use something on the bigger carry end, but they go Bebop. So honestly, Jason, with the exception of the Victor Leviathan, they want to win this in early to mid game. This is not a late game composition at all coming out from Leviathan.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's weird because you have Victor in there too. And Victor, I feel like he needs to get late game to be effective. But I mean, having a Lash in there, Holiday, and Bebop, like you have so much mobility around the map. You have so much pick opportunity as well. One thing I worry about for Leviathan is, do they have the damage to follow up on this? I feel like they're lacking in damage. Is that just me?
No, I mean, they have plenty of good spirit damage on, especially before Divine Barriers come on in. But in a way, I feel like the Leviathan game plan here is that they crush the early to mid game. And then from the early to mid game, they get enough of a lead that Victor is high enough that he can just kind of run through the people that have farm on the Abraham side. But the Leviathan comp here, Jason, really only works if they're up 20 or 30k in the latter part of the mid game. If it's even, they just lose.
Yeah. I mean, especially with Shiv. I always worry with Shiv on the other side. They need the Viscous to save them. Yeah, Billy. I mean, yeah, if I look at these comps, like I'm definitely favoring Abrahams for sure. But obviously, like you're saying, if Leviathan can get off to that early lead, maintain that lead throughout the rest of the game, and especially in that turning point about halfway through, there's definitely a world they can win. But I don't know, man. I find it so hard to not bet on Abrahams here. Not that I'm trying to influence your predictions in chat. I don't want to be, if you lose your points, it's not on me. Bet your prediction points responsibly. But this is, I don't know. I don't really feel Leviathan's comp much.
I'm going to be honest. I got to play the odds. Even though I don't think Leviathan is going to win, I put down 3,000 channel points because, it's not that big of a deal for me onto Leviathan. That's what I've done here. Because
I'm watching in mod view on Twitch, and I just get like no channel. I only have 7,000 channel points, and I don't think I've ever predicted in a single game.
Well, don't be poor, Jason.
Trying, man. I'm trying.
I don't know what to tell you. Make good bets. Wait for melee creeps to throw a game.
Didn't Jake say bet the house on one team? That team lost. Maybe I did bet once, and that's where I lost all of my points. I know now to never take advice from him on investments.
In fairness, Jake did lose the house on that one. So I mean, Jake was all in. He just just didn't pan out. Also, the funniest part, should Leviathan force the map 3, there was a tease in Discord that was happening. I don't know if you saw it, but the devs were teasing maybe there's a patch today in 7 hours, and they did that like 6 hours ago.
I'm AFK for a minute. I'm AFK looking at the Discord server.
I can forward you the message.
Please do, because there's a lot of messages here.
Jason's like, I'm gonna go through the entirety of the competitive Discord.
Oh, ain't happening. That's too much.
Okay, I got you.
Let's see this. So that was it? Just 7 hours?
Yeah. Also,
I know what that's about. No. That's not the patch. That's for Stranger Things episode 9.
Well, people wanted to believe patch, which, by the way, we would still go. Like, we would just continue to run if the patch hit, but imagine prepping for a map 3 on a brand new patch. Also, given that be fair game, we just let people play the new hero. If there was a new hero.
But we're not saying there is. There could be.
That's right. I mean, it just makes sense.
They can play anything new to the game.
Either way, we're hopping right into it. We're seeing free mock on the beautiful new Night Shift Abram skin. That is a lot of tail without the trench coat, is what we've come to learn here, Jason.
Yeah, I'm kind of uncomfortable with that much tail. I don't know. That much tail makes me feel really uncomfortable. I don't know why.
The trench coat had a strong tail hiding function. Also, what is going on right now? Is this an early gank attempt by
Lane
Fremont or lane swap? Yeah, more of a lane swap. So Leviathan not necessarily liking the lanes they were dealt, and they full swap it up. Send Pocket and Holiday off to the right to match up against Viscous Wraith.
Abram's butt looks like he's just a sack of potatoes. It's like his butt is just a sack of potatoes. I can't unsee this.
Oh no.
He's got a long butt. That's all I'll say. I mean, but where's the tail? So the tail's really high above the butt? That's interesting.
So.
I imagine the tail to be like just like at the top of the crack of the butt, you know? Like where the tailbone is on a human?
I didn't put this much thought into it. I got nothing.
Ozzy, what have you been up to making this skin for us, man? But yeah, okay, well, we can focus on the game. So actually, we were talking about D-Mob before seeing the Viscous picked. There's actually going to be Hoot on the Viscous and D-Mob going to be on the Shiv, with Together still maintaining the Billy. So again, showing the flexibility that this roster has, you would normally expect it to be Together on Shiv. But D-Mob showing us he's got a pretty good Shiv as well. And then, of course, Hoot, we don't really get to see much of his Viscous over the course of his career, but we don't have an insanely good Viscous.
Jason, the health on Leviathan is just miserable right now. Look at the health bars on the top right of your screen. Leviathan is dying across the board. Tass, the only one getting a little bit of the same damage in turn. So the early lane phase right now, no one has died here just yet, but okay. Tass actually first one to fall. Just when you think Leviathan is on the ropes. Fremoc's able to find something here, and more pressure on the D-Mob, who also oversteps. So it goes from Abraham's being fully healthy and Leviathan super wounded to Abraham's overplaying their hand. And Leviathan getting a nice little edge at the beginning.
I mean, it was a snowball kill. I think that's the first one we've had in Night Shift, right? I think the Christmas update didn't happen until after the last Night Shift number 19. Yeah, I don't know why D-Mob was just kind of running into Overseas there, though. That was a bit odd. That was a bit odd.
Also, we fixed our tracker here. As you can see the upper right of the screen, you can add to the prize pool. We'll talk about it on stream, and it will go directly to the player, split between NA and EU. So 1,200 is our baseline, but you have the power to add more.
Christmas might be over, but the season of giving is still here for the players. Oh my gosh, the heavy melee one after another here. Together trying to maybe look for a fight. I don't know. He's gonna has Paige, has the backup, has the shield as well. Such a beefy lane to be up against with a Victor and a Lash. I feel like Paige has Satan has his work cut out for him.
Also, you look at the pressure being applied right now. Sanya just behind the tower, Viscous in front. Rough time, but okay. Look, comes on in. Let's see how much extra damage is added on here. Tass already started the lane at a bit of a rough spot. Pays an additional HP tax here, courtesy of Overseas. And I think you're going to pick Bebop right now. This is the kind of production you need, Jason.
Kind of dangerous, man. He went Mystic Burst, slowing Hex. So you hook someone in, you slow them. They're already gonna take a lot of damage, and then Fremont charges them. Like there's some really strong kill potential in this lane here for Leviathan that I'm really digging the Abrams Bebop together.
See if they're able to put a little bit of containment on the Sanya and Hoot, who so far have just been running the right-hand side. But okay, you got Fremont coming on in, the 3-on-2 onto the right. While this goes on, though, Empty Dreams just gets run over in on the left. Let's see if there's a little bit of equalization to be done here off the rotation here for Fremont, and doesn't result in any kills here, Jason. Gives a little bit of breathing room in the lane, but that's it.
I do wonder, I don't know if Lightbringer's in chat, like what's the economic loss of going for a gank and failing? I think it depends on how many boxes are still up in that area, or like what kind of box run you can do in that area, because you're obviously, I think, planning 2 box run there and then box run out if you need to.
I think team-wise it just depends on what the lane that's left solo does, because they're just going to absorb the farm anyways in that instance. Like, you're getting all the excess to the person in lane, but if Overseas gets denied, if the lane gets frozen in response, then you end up with a loss. It's more what happens to the lane partner overall is Fremont doesn't like the way that fight's going down, just has to use charge as an escape tool, as Overseas, decent HP, but having to run into the underground to get out safely.
And hearing that chain gang coming out, he's like, yeah, I don't want any of this. I do like the slowing Hex. I mean, obviously on a Bebop, it's generally, I think, a really good item for him to turn things into more kills. But the fact that you can also control D-Mob's mobility, control Sonya Sniper, control Together, it helps you really facilitate and like lock in those kills that you really need to have if you're hitting these.
There's no way that hits.
Activating Reed comes through.
Hey, on our screen, it looked like Obikim was out and his toe was just barely in the book line there, as it were, Jason, and nearly to disastrous results for Obikim. But also, in terms of disaster, I mean, this is the lane they swapped to. This is the lane matchup that Leviathan wanted on the right, and it has been miserable. They are down to half Guardian HP here already, but okay, taking a look at Lash. Lash under a bit of pressure. Obikim, real danger, needing to back out. Meanwhile, Remok laying in the damage here on the Abrams. Nowhere for Together to go. As Lash comes on in to get, okay. The ground slam on the page. Still, is it gonna be enough? The dive comes on in into the parry. Oh, the parry, it doesn't hit the tower. The tower just proxy ult instead, and I can't believe Page is still alive. The moves back and forth, finally Senko's down, but gets more of it than you'd expect. Buys enough time for the reinforcements to get back in here and maybe take the life of Obikim, which Together absolutely does.
Damn. I mean, some misplays coming out of Leviathan. Overcommitments. Together picks himself up a double kill up to 5.9, almost 6,000 souls. I mean, he's gotten a massive lead from this overcommitment and this really mistake out of Leviathan. He kept making these mistakes up against Abrahams as the other immediately punished this one. Also, I know Goober's in chat, and this was looking a little familiar to something Goober likes to build. As he likes some gun viscous, and I would be very happy to see who go that same route.
All orange. The John way. You go deeper into the NA lore, where it doesn't really matter what you see John pick. You know, is that an orange item hero? Yeah, probably, because John's playing it. Okay, Empty Dreams. Getting caught while we talk about that here. 3 rotation for Abrahams off to the right-hand side. A little bit peeking there for Dmov, and now going back over into middle as taking advantage was Leviathan. Get the mid guardian down early, and this is not too bad, especially if they get Tass, who a little bit out of position, now taking the hyper beam right to the backside. It's super low as Tass, as the slow walk from overseas enough to get the angle.
Do you think he meant to uppercut Fremok into Tass there to go for the charge?
Debatable. I think it may have been a happy accident.
I'll take it. I'll take it for sure. I mean, that ended up working out. I mean, who needs a warp stone when you have a Bebop who can just uppercut you into the enemy team, right?
Exactly. Use what you got.
Good parry comes through the puddle punch here.
Yeah, Tess rotated to the left-hand side, by the way. Tess has had enough of middle and takes the freer kill on the Obikim, who was already kind of low to begin with. So, unexpected rotation to the left for Leviathan. Now, see if Abrahams turns this into a Guardian kill. The left-hand side Guardian is already pretty low. So if you bring 3 people in here, Victor's going to rotate in, but it shouldn't be in time to save the Guardian.
It's going to go down here. Abraham sporting only a 2k soul lead. That's who's just trying to escape from Fremok on the chase, and he gets the kill. But it's going to cost him his life. And that was a big bag as well, as you saw for a split second on your screen. With Dmov finishing off that kill into Fremok. A lot of extra souls going his way up to 7.6. But again, Together, he's going to hit the 10k mark 9 minutes in. Together is going to be very scary. And you talked about Leviathan needing to have that strong mid game and come out of the mid game with a hefty lead. And well, that lead's just not showing right now, ZP.
This game is further gone than it appears. You would look at this and go, oh, it's just 4K. Like, you can make this up at Earn. Maybe not. This is actually a bit disastrous at the moment for Leviathan because they're not running a comp that's going to scale them into the end game the way they want. Like, if you're hoping Empty Dreams carries you, that's not going to happen unless you're really, really far ahead. As okay, Fremok tried to do a little bit of Sinner stealing and is quickly rebuffed, and may have just brought the pain on the Overseas. Overseas is getting hit in turn like they were going originally for Fremok, and they go, no, we'll take a little bit of Robot instead. It's fine, although that's a risky angle to poke there from Dmov, given that you could just get hooked straight through.
That was 1k damage almost in, I think, just serrated blades. I don't think he actually did much more damage beyond that. Together again, or up to over 10,000 souls. Obikins is punished another time. I think that's like his 3rd or 4th death now. He's at 6.8 thousand souls. Death Slam on cooldown because he used to try to escape there, and they're going to lose even more around the map. Lose the mid lane Guardian, and potentially now the Urn.
That was one disaster after another in quick motion. Now, that being said, being able to catch Saint via the Hyper Beam and Fremok evens things up a little bit, because that was looking like the freest Urn turn in ever after getting mid Guardian. It's still not looking good for Leviathan at this point, given the soul deficit here. And okay, we'll see what level of contest comes out here for this urn. You have Fremont kind of lurking nearby. Pocket nearby also together. Meanwhile, we'll find Empty Dreams one more time. And this Billy is huge right now, Jason, where even if they kill him here, they're having to invest a lot, and you get the backup from Hoot, so this Billy's not even dead. He's taking the fight here versus Overseas together. Ends up getting parried, though. The parry could have been the decision maker as Overseas able to finish it off, where the parry accuracy versus Billy has gotten quite good, Jason.
Yeah, it's gotten much better for sure. Very difficult to just freely spam away on the melees anymore. Killing Blow comes through, but a little bit too high HP on OBK. Maybe that wasn't the target he was going for. Maybe hoping the Serrated Blades would be enough to finish him off. No knives left to throw out here for Demov. Wait, I didn't even realize Osis is on pocket. I just now realized that. Is he going Glock it?
I hope not. Do not do that. What was that? It was like Max or something. It was just like, yes, go the gun pocket build. Like, I'm not a believer, Jason.
I mean, that's how I got my ornament from pocket.
Dear God, the MMR damage of the challenge has been catastrophic.
I only dropped like 2 ranks doing all of the ornaments, so I was actually quite surprised.
Honestly, better than most got out of it is what I'll say.
Oh my God, last year I dropped hard. I dropped like full on divisions last year trying to get all the skin. Just like Edge's gonna be dropped here on his side of the map. Sorry, on the other side of the map. Trying to actually no, I was on his side of the map. Trying to buy up or survive, I guess, some time for the reinforcements to be there. How many of this the skins did he get last year? The Christmas skins.
I don't remember. I want to say it was around like 5 or 6, but okay. Pre-mock over, Seismic Slam, no target in mind. Still shoulder charge up in pursuit of Tass, who is very quickly trying to get over to the jump pad, but getting pursued every step of the way. Charge in from the top, a little bit too much damage. Time Wall not going to be saving him that time around, as Leviathan. The picks right now still matter. I mean, it is doable to get back into this game, even if it's a longer climb than you might expect.
I mean, you saw Tass there. Like, even with the charge and the amount of players from the Leviathan side, it was still taking a very long time to kill him. And allowed Hoot to get some pressure on the left lane Walker and to continue to steal away more jungle. I mean, at least the soul discrepancy, only 4K between the two teams, so Leviathan able to keep it relatively close. But I do worry for, like, Infallible and Obikim. I guess you don't necessarily need the most souls towards those two players if you want to use them as initiates, but they don't really have... I don't know. I still feel like they need to do a decent amount of damage here in these fights, considering the comp that they do have.
Demov caught a little bit out of position off into the Leviathan jungle. See together rotating orbit, not quite in time. So... the interesting game state here, Jason, is that Abraham's, as you should when you're this far ahead, they have been more aggressive in going into Leviathan jungle, but Leviathan's done a reasonable job of getting some picks. This time, okay, pulls in together. Is the follow-through going to be here? You see some people around, including the Holiday. There's no lasso up here just yet, though, so you can't quite go lasso into hook. Hyper Beam, though, coming in over the top still. Looking to turn this into a favorable position. Together, though, just punishes Flammable, who is the one in chase to begin with, into the swap in onto Overseas, and... just like that, Abraham's instantly puts things back in their favor.
Overseas got an interesting build too. So he's got Spirit Strike to take away Spirit Resist, and he also has Mystic Vulnerability to take away more Spirit Resist for his bombs to do even more damage. And then of course his Hyper Beam can really just shred through on top of that. I don't think I've actually seen that. He also had Mystic Slow for Overseas. So that's a really interesting kind of supporty build for Bebop that still can put out a huge punch of damage with his bombs.
At this point, Jason, I think you have to be worried for Leviathan. The urn is coming down. We'll see if they're going to get first control, but the way Abraham's positioned, they're in a way better spot to get urn control here. Remok comes in, grabs the buff, but may pay for it with his life. The Captivating Reed coming on down, along with the rest of the team. So you got the gun buff, but you immediately went back to spawn with it immediately getting eradicated. And I guess upside here for the urn, and almost a twist of fate relative to the last game. Should they pick it up now, it'll be an urn that goes to Leviathan side. But they're waiting here, Jason. They're hoping it goes directly into the threshold that it turns neutral.
Telling everyone stop farming.
Exactly. They're actually trying to not take souls right now. There it is. They're playing the margins, and they're going to get the neutral urn as a result.
I think you spot us out from melee creeps. I think the first time we've seen it on night shift, at least like so prevalently, and you pointed out and called it perfectly. It's cool to see it still happen yet again. I mean, that's just like little micro things that do have a pretty massive impact on like the chance of winning a game, of just realizing, okay, we're not that far ahead. We can still just wait a second or two and not farm to make sure it's a neutral turn in, because now you can obviously get the 4.7k souls, but you also could have a fight that you can win pretty easily with the lead you had before.
It's such a smart, cerebral gameplay decision that you always want to do when the margin is that close that you can still reasonably get a neutral earn. Overseas just getting pummeled. Hyper beam or no, Hoot bringing the goo from the back. Meanwhile, earn turn in contest as Hoot just continues to lay down the gun viscous. These goo balls having some force behind him here, Jason, as back over towards the earn. Things not getting any better here for Obakim. Goes for the punch, ends up getting parried. Earn turn in the Abrahams, and we may be witnessing the true beginning of the end. Not the end of the end, but the beginning of the end.
Just let me know when we're at the middle point of the end, and that'll be good. I mean, once we do end, we'll be at the halfway point of the end of the show, to be fair. So we still have North America come up after this. We do see the mid boss being started here for Abrahams. Remock just trying to give Overwatch to it, just trying to sprinkle down a couple of bullets here or there, but it's really not hurting any more than raindrops do. And realistically should not be contested. He's gonna go in either way. The ball being used as well to continue to stun them up so they can't go for any steals, and they get themselves 2 kills, and they're gonna have themselves some more.
20k lead, all 3 rejuve charges, and Abrahams is licking their chops, Jason. Another victory potentially on the books here, as who takes down Flammable from afar. They say gun viscous can't hurt you, but I'm seeing the gun viscous right now, Jason, and I'm seeing a lot of hurt.
I think a lot of people on the other end of Goober's aim has felt how much pain gun viscous can do. And they're even taking the second walker of the game, or even pushing Obakim back. He's at 13,000 souls. They're gonna pick him off once again. I mean, you just crack open the base. I feel like here you don't even need to worry about the third walker necessarily. You can maybe send one player to deal with it as they hit a good hook over on it together. But again, he's just so far ahead, 21,000 souls, that he's just not so easy to pick off, and he still has his rejuve to use if he needs.
So like always, Jason, when you look at a scenario like this where Leviathan is very firmly behind, nearly 30,000, what win conditions do they have? They're already playing a comp that from the get-go we said needed the win in the early mid game. They've lost the early mid game significantly, and now they have to come back. I don't see a lot of good ways for them to do this here.
Yeah, and it's very deceptive too, because the lead should be much bigger. I believe it was Abrahams, when they turned in the earn, they lost 2 walkers for that to Leviathan. So like realistically, the lead should be even bigger than this if they're able to maintain those while that happened. I mean, Demov had gone down, wasted one of the rejuve charges. Hoot now in the midst of the entire team. Probably gonna lose his rejuve here once the cube wears off. The backups, I guess, there in time. Okay, so Hoot will fall. 1 rejuve left here for Abrahams. And Hoot's back alive. You can see the entire Leviathan team bounce padding away, trying to escape this one and make sure they don't lose anyone else. But Hoot's back in on the charge.
Just the man to watch right now, laying down the damage. It's green, it's fierce, it is absolutely everywhere. Not even Abrams is safe. Where, Jason, should Abrahams win this game, that is a 0% win rate on Abrams since we've done our night shift skin.
But you at home will have a 100% win rate on him once we reach our sub goal of 1,200 subs, and we'll be opening up for all of you to enjoy, just like our Mo and Krill skin, all created by Ozzy, who's done a phenomenal job on those skins. Even did some other skins, like for Goober, for instance. Did a Christmas viscous skin I thought was so sick. I don't know if you've seen that one, but Goober did that for his community.
What people have already done so far in the game with skins is just pretty remarkable. But, you know, it isn't too remarkable is what is happening to the Shrines. Leviathan, they are already getting forced into the end game. Patron first stage falling. A massive lead, and the Hyper Beam from overseas, kind of a tickle beam at this point in the game here, Jason, when you're this far behind.
Yeah, and it's kind of unfortunate too, because this build was really cool. Like, again, the Mystic Vulnerability, the Spirit Strike, a lot of utility, a lot of like Spirit Shred for your team. And they're still just going to keep losing players to the first stage Patron. Oh, we got Hyperline 2 in space. Who just takes him down point blank into the ground. And just no teabag coming through.
We were just watching Call of Duty there for a moment where someone's laying on the ground and you just hear a player yell, "Shoot the effing bodies." That's Hoot. but in this case, the player was alive, and the Leviathan, they are gone. Abrahams once more defend the throne, a 2-0 victory, and the second map even more decisive than the first.
Yeah, they took the lead in the beginning, and they didn't want to give any chance for Leviathan to come back into this one like they did in the prior match. So Abraham still looking strong here in the new year. Leviathan showing some glimpses of hope, but again, I feel like the draft is a little bit rough for them. I still wasn't a huge fan of the comps they ran in both the games here up against Abrahams, but still good to see they're around, and hopefully they come back next week. If they get invited back next week, even stronger.
Yeah, I mean, Leviathan, they've still been the number 2 team in EU. That's the thing worth noting here, is that you can put any other team in EU against Leviathan, and Leviathan's probably going to win, but winning up against Abrahams, that is a true challenge right now. And 2026 not proven any different than 2025 in that regard. And, you know, the interesting thing to me here, Jason, is, again, Leviathan went even harder into winning the early, the mid game, and it just didn't pan out. Like, they had a few bursts of life at the very beginning of the game, and then all it took was a few good fights from Abrahams, and then just pure filth out of Hoot here at the Gun Viscous, where you just heard Jake, you know, join to get ready for NA, and Jake was probably taking some notes going like, ooh, Gun Viscous, get me in on that.
I wish Goober had a camera, because I would love to get him in here to talk about the Gun Viscous build, just to hear what he has to say about it, since he's such an extensive Viscous player. But yeah, I mean, Hoot was just doing incredible damage. You can see as well at the Blood Tribute with the Hyperline onto Freemok. Gets him knocked onto the ground to go for the headshots, and then just immediately jumps into the pit with 9,000 souls to spend. Like, this was easily their series, especially in the second game, and they've shown they are still true to be the best team in Europe and the team to beat at the moment.
And of course, we look at the stats here. The eye test said that Hoot was having a good game, and the actual stats, Jason, say the same. Hoot pumping the damage on the Viscous, but, you know, one thing of note here is that part of doing this level of damage, you're going to go gun build, you need people to make space for you, and together on the Billy just looked good in not only the first game, but especially here in the second game.
Yeah, I mean, just look at his build as well. It had BRS, Blood Tribute, Hollow Point, K-Dash, High Velocity. He didn't even go like the Express Shot build for the Ultra Gamba out of a Viscous. So if you've seen that Goober build where he just counts on like a Lucky Shot proc with his Alt Fire, I believe, and Express Shot. And then, of course, he had Saint, like being a solid support here, had Knockdown, Rescue Beam, Divine Barrier. Like, he had everything he needed to keep his team up and running, because they just wanted to fight, and fight is exactly what they did. I mean, we didn't even get to talk about Sonya Sniper, because he really wasn't prevalent in this game, because it's all about like who demobbing together.
Well, Sonya Sniper is basically your life insurance policy. Like, you don't talk about your life insurance policy while you're living the prime of your life and you're not actually sick. Like, Sanya was there in case the game was close, but they didn't really need Sanya because the rest of the team did their job. I'll also say, by the way, in terms of players that have had massive impact, and I don't know if it's the right role, I don't love the shift from Leviathan where they decided to put Empty Dreams onto Victor. Like, Empty Dreams is like way more impressive when you've been putting Empty Dreams onto more playmaking roles, more heroes that are getting into it early. I almost feel like it's not that Empty Dreams is a bad Victor, but giving up Empty Dreams on heroes that get more value in the early to mid game, to me, doesn't necessarily feel like the best trade-off.
I mean, thinking about him in game one today, not even in the Abrahams match when they're playing against Fearless Furies, he was the one to kind of carry them through on the pocket. He had, I believe, a lot of damage on that one and was really, really effective. But yeah, I mean, maybe it's a hero pool limitation, ZP. I think that's one thing we always have to take into consideration. Maybe like OCs cannot play Victor and Empty Dreams could kind of play Victor, so they had to go that route in the end.
Yeah, it's very likely. I mean, the hero pool situation for teams can definitely make some weird changes that on face value. You're like, why'd you do this? It's like, oh, here's the reason why they did this. But Jason, our MVP is locked in, and that's right, is going to be the one, the only. It is Together taking the MVP here for Abrahams, and hard to argue against it, Jason, with just how impactful he was in the front line today.
Yeah, and both games played Billy every single time, and he finished off here with 11 kills in this last match, but he was just super effective. He had some really great chain gangs as well, looking back from the first match here to set up Sonya Sniper, as well as like Saint. They had like duo or even like trio wombo combos that they could kind of stagger. I mean, a Death Slam into a chain gang or into like a last stand out of Warden, or you can use the chain gang to set up Warden. Like, they had a lot of ways to facilitate Sonya Sniper on that hero in that game. But even here, I mean, he had a great, I don't want to call it a 1v2. It was kind of an overcommitment of Leviathan on that left-hand side with the Guardian. That Saint bought so much time. Eventually, Saint goes down together, gets back into the fight, and gets 2 kills. And with that, he just really started to bolster up and explode into this lead and become this formidable force that really Leviathan didn't have the damage to deal with.
Yeah, I think to me, when I look at how both maps went down, I do take a little bit of issue with how Leviathan drafted, because Abraham's in both games, Jason, they had team comps that were pretty reasonable at early and mid game fighting and had really good late game options. And Leviathan comps weren't particularly balanced in the same way, to where I almost feel like Leviathan, their win conditions were very narrow, and they had the hit conditions that maybe weren't all that likely to be hit against a team like Abraham. So for me, it's part execution, but also I think the draft could have been a bit better when you look back at it from the Leviathan side.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wonder how many weeks does Leviathan need to keep going up against Abraham before they finally do crack that shell and finally get just a map victory against them, right? Because they haven't been able to do so far in the night shift. But then to get a win, at what point is it roster changes? At what point do you look maybe introspectively and realize, okay, our draft is really an issue. We need to switch things up. Maybe it's our macro that's the issue. I do wonder at some point, like, when is that change going to happen for Leviathan, even Fearless Furies, that someone finally takes it to Abraham's and what that will be. And I don't really, nothing really comes to mind of what it potentially could be. Maybe it's just new players on the roster.
Well, one thing we do have here, as people always come to look for it, we do have the hero priority here in EU this week, and it was a bit of a change, Jason, from what we saw at the end of last week. And, taking a look at what really strikes out to me and changes that we've seen is that Vindicta went all the way down to 0. Vindicta was a mainstay in EU and NA, and kind of went by the wayside. And also Geist. Geist went from picked basically every game to picked just once.
Yeah, I mean, I missed the entire December, so I don't really have a strong memory of what went down on 19 through pretty much like 16 or 15 of night shift. But yeah, it is weird to see Vindicta just completely fall off with nothing being changed, right? I don't think she got touched in the last patch, the minor patch.
No, and it's weird too, because Saint, in the entire time you were gone, you'd bet you a little bit in chat and wanted to clarify, Saint had one of the best Vindictas we've seen. Like, Saint actually turned out to be just a Vindicta god, and to the point that at times against Abraham's teams were really banning around Saint playing the Vindicta, and today it just people just like, nah, we don't need Vindicta. We don't need her anymore. Bebop actually back into the fray. Bebop wasn't getting played at all, but obviously got some changes. Hayes also getting prowled a little bit more, so it's super interesting. No one dabbling with the McGinnis on the EU side of the pond, but maybe it'll change in the NA.
I saw Naked in chat. Put him in there. He'll make McGinnis play and make McGinnis work. And I mean, to be fair, McGinnis was a real menace, at least in my rank of pubs. Being able to, pretty much just, you can't trade with her when it came to the lane. But I don't know if that necessarily works out when it comes to pro play. But I mean, again, that's only the EU half of the show. We still have North America come up, and I really want to see how Former are going to play. Having Pop rejoin AVG on that roster from back in the day with melee creeps, I think is so cool. And then to potentially have those two play up against Saya, another previous teammate. I mean, they're already going up against Cool Cheese, but again, as another previous teammate. North America really switching things up constantly within a lot of these players. Eventually, you're going to play against a teammate at some point.
That's right. And of course, all the NA action is coming at you right after this break. When it comes up next, it's going to be Floormen taking on Bunny with Clock. Friends turn the enemies as Pop takes on his former team. Now, one of the Floormen, NA, going to be full of all sorts of drama and intrigue. It's coming at you right after this break.